Well, happy Mother's Day. You can't say it too many times, right? Sometimes we can go too long without thanking our moms for the things that they do for us and even the things that we don't realize they do for us. Amen. Hope Mother's Day is good at your house. I'm worried about that right now with everybody's reaction to Mother's Day right now. We're going to continue this series of small things, and today, surprise, surprise, we get to talk about words. Last week we talked about thoughts. Did anybody really be challenged with your thoughts this week after sitting here last Sunday? Yeah. Yep. I've had a lot of moments of fighting with myself about how dumb I was for thinking the things I was thinking. Anybody feel that? All right. So since I said that, today we're going to talk about words. And as I called myself dumb this week, knowing that I was talking about words, I was like, what? Why are you doing this? You're not only having these thoughts, but now you're saying these words about yourself, right? Anybody feel that? Yeah. And so today I'm going to simply just start off by saying in Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has the power of life and what? I hate this table. Our thoughts. Yeah, there we go. It's just words. Here we go. Just remember, if you say something that I don't like, I'm going to call you out from the stage also. All right, here we go. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Amen. Old Testament, here how we're operating today. Just kidding. Thoughts become words, don't they? If you think a thought long enough, eventually it's going to come out. And when we think about it so much that it becomes a word, then it actually becomes an action, does it not? And then our actions, if we do them long enough, become a new lifestyle for us. Don't they? Just think about it. If I decided today that Twinkies was the diet that I was going to be on, Jamie, you perked up on that one. I know. Keep me accountable. But if I decided all I'm going to eat is Twinkies, eventually that choice that went from a word to an action to now I've got this lifestyle. Do you know what kind of condition I would be in? Not good. I would die. I would be one particle away from being plastic. Right? Like I'd have so much chemicals in me, I'd be one away from being fake. Amen? And so we've got to understand that with our thoughts, we have to bind those up before they become words. But if they become words, we've got to challenge ourselves to change our words. I can tell you this, if you want to change your life, you need to start by changing your words. I think too many times we take our words and we just throw them out and we don't think about what we say, do we? Anybody? I mean, come on, goodness sakes, I already said something that, like, it's a word that I said, I hate this, right? How many people you've just said that? I hate this. I don't like this. Well, this is just how it's going to always be, right? How many people, as you came to certain parts of your life, you said, well, I've said this. Well, I guess this is what 40 looks like. Come on, anybody? You feel that? You start to just take your words and make them your truths, don't you? And if you speak it long enough, eventually it's going to be what you are, right? James 3:3-5. I'm going to read the New King James Version, but then I'm going to read the NLT version to just see the different contrast. But James chapter 3:3-5 says this, indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at ships. Although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. See how great a forest a little fire kindles. The NLT version says it this way, we can make a large horse go wherever we want by the means of a small bit in its mouth. And a small rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot chooses to go, even though the winds are strong. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. Our words can either be life-taking or life-giving, right? Has anybody ever found yourself in a spot, and we'll just be real today, where you were sitting with someone privately in your own area, wherever that was be, whether it was at a restaurant or at home or in the car or wherever, and you start to say words that really is just complaining about something? Anybody ever been there? Right? It could be complaining about this or that or your job or your car that you're actually riding in. It could be a multitude of things, right? The other day, I experienced the first bridge up moment of the season. And I sat there in my car and I looked at the bridge and I went, I wonder how many of these people around me are freaking out right now and not happy about this, right? I wonder how many people are upset right now because they're being slowed down. And I thought to myself, man, even when you're alone, if you speak, does anybody speak things out loud when you're alone? Anybody have those moments where you just are like, okay, let's just, and you just say things that your heart really means, right? Because you're by yourself, it's not going to hurt anything. A few weeks ago, I was here in the church, and I'm just gonna tattle on myself because it's better for me to do that than throw my wife under the bus on Mother's Day. And so I was here at the church, and there were some things that were frustrating me. Here in the building. I walked through, and I know you've done this at your house where you've just walked through rooms in your house and you've looked at things and it instantly makes you mad. Come on, can I get a witness on that? And you walk through the house and you just pinpoint everything, don't you? You're like, why is that one sock there? And so I was walking through the church and I was having a moment where there were things that I just assumed would be done and they weren't. And so I started having a physical meltdown as I walked through the building of the church, the prayer team. Chris, you're laughing because I've talked to you about that. Like I literally just walked through the building and I just was like, oh my gosh. And I'm saying this out loud. And I'm like, man, if somebody ever sees me do this, they're going to think that dude's nuts. He's all alone. And I just walked through and finally, I finally just called my wife. Because if you speak so many negative things, it doesn't help, right? And I called my wife and I was like, Lindsay, and she's like, what? And I was like, hey, having a moment. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, and I went through the laundry list of everything and she goes, okay. Well, I would suggest don't call anybody right now and don't send out any text messages that you're going to have to say sorry about later. And I said, that's good wisdom. Thank you. And I hung up the phone and she sent the text message out for me. And she was just like, you don't want to know what I just dealt with, but this is going on. And so when you do that, all you're doing is you're just stoking the fire for the enemy to go, I gotcha, right? You're just stoking that fire. And so our words could be life-taking or life-giving. If you showed me a bad marriage, I would say that 95% of the reason why that marriage is bad is because there's been life-taking words and not life-giving words. If you show me a relationship that you have that's strained, I would say that 99% of that is probably because there's been life-taking words and not life-giving words. And these are words that you don't even have to speak to them. You could just speak to yourself, but they're life-taking, right? If you showed me a household that was in chaos, I would tell you that there's probably more life-taking words said than life-giving words said in it, right? And we can just keep going on. Let's just go to your job. If your job frustrates you at any moment, I can tell you that it's probably more life-taking things that are going on than life-giving things, right? You feel like all of a sudden, like, man, I just feel like take. Let's just be honest. When somebody is life-taking, do you want to hang out with them? No. Why? Yeah, it's not fun. At the end of the day, it's just not fun, is it? There's like one thing that like I've even learned. It's like, man, if you've got to really honestly like work hard at spending time with people, it just gets to a place where you're like, I don't really want to do it. Anybody been there? You're just like, this isn't life-giving for me. This is life-taking. And when I'm done, anybody ever seen Monsters Incorporated? Anybody can just raise your hand, show me that you're a child. All right, cool. Do you know the one part towards the end of the movie when Randall, the one that can, disappear and he's a chameleon kind of thing, and he's got the scream machine that sucks the scream out of people, and it's to help the energy. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And when the dude gets put in the chair and it begins to suck his scream out, his color changes and he's pale. And sometimes if all you do is give life-taking words, that's what you do to people spiritually that you can't see. You just drain them of all their energy to the point where they don't have a life-giving word to give you. Come on. And too many times we choose to sit in the life-taking area, right? Anybody? What about words that we speak that we think are funny, but really they're not? Anybody know anybody like that? Where all their jokes are hilarious, but deep down, they're just offensive? Come on. They say things, and then they laugh, and you just think to yourself, oh, you're an idiot. Anybody? Come on. They're the people that you walk in, and you feel good about yourself, and they look at you, and they go, did you mean to do that to your hair today? You purposely made it look like that? Anybody? They think it's funny, and you just look at them, and you're like, oh. Right? Or that person that when you walk in and you're talking to them and they look at you and they go, man, at your age, you're not married yet? It's just life-taking. Life-taking. I heard somebody talk to me about an experience that they had at church. They walked in, and somebody thought it would be hilarious to look at them and go, wow, you're a creaster. You know what that means? You only come at Christmas and Easter. They thought it was hilarious. The person they said it to walked away super offended, not sure if they wanted to go back to that church. Life-taking. Some of us, we just got to think long enough about the words that come out of our mouth. There's a scripture that says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable. Oh God, right? Come on. It's got to be acceptable in his sight. And too many times we just throw words around like God's not watching or listening to what we say, right? We're going to do another word audit. Last week we did it. I thought it was fun. We're going to do another one today. If I could just have that. Yeah, there we go. 1 to 10. We're going to try this. This time I just want you to raise your hand on the number. Okay, we all got, digits, we can use them. So just raise your hand on where you're at. So if you're life-taking from others, like life-taking, you're just I'm just at you. If you're life-taking for others or you're life-giving to others, where are you at on that scale, 1 to 10? Just raise them. Let me see them. We got 8, 1. Thanks for being honest. I appreciate it. 5. All right, 5, 7, 8. Come on. What do you got, Mobe? Your hand blends into the wall. 5. All right. 7. Blair, you got a 7 back there? All right. Now, let me ask you it a different way. In your home, where are you at? Does anybody numbers change? Okay, thank you for being your number changes a little bit. Your number went up. Ooh. Yeah, you guys are all trying to figure out who I'm pointing at right now. I know who I'm pointing at. Pretty sure she knows who I'm pointing at. So your number went up from how you are with people and how you are in home? That's interesting. Okay. Most of us went down, right? Most of us went down. And the weird thing is about that is it's because we will say things to the people who deep down we know will forgive us first that we really shouldn't say to them, right? Is anybody a 10? Like you're just ooze goodness all the time. Is anybody 10? Because we want to pray for you. We want to pray for you. You're not normal. My mom has said some things to me. No, my mom is not. She's in the nursery. No, not to you, but to me. Own blood here. She said some things. How many people know sometimes your family can say some things and you're just like, are we blood related? Anybody? You ever heard that from your parent? Have you ever had a parent say something to you and you're just like, I came from you? Anybody had that moment ever with a parent? Not me. My mom's great. I'm just asking. All right, here we go. Life-taking or life-giving to yourself? 1 to 10. You know, I'm saying those things you say to yourself, but you don't say out loud. You just like say them underneath your breath. You know, Hamish, I feel that. It depends on the day, right? Life-taking, life-giving. Where are you at with yourself? Come on, 5, 7. What did you, 5? Okay. You guys still thinking over in this section? Okay, 3. Is that a 3, 4? 4, 3? Alyssa, 3? Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call your name out when I call your name. Now the other people know. Man. All right. Yeah. How many people you think it's easier to be life-giving to others than it is sometimes to yourself? Right? Like you can get to a place where you are hard on yourself, right? A couple weeks ago, Lindsay was not in here during my sermon. I walked off the stage and she was like, we were on the way home and she's like, how was today's sermon? And I was like, it was pretty rough. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. I probably could have did better. And then like later on that week, somebody was like, man, pastor's sermon was really good. And she comes home and she's like, what do you mean it was rough? And I was like, it was really bad. And she was like, well, other people seem to like it. And I was like, okay, but we are harder on ourselves, aren't we not? And sometimes when we are hard on ourselves, we can get to a place where that makes us bitter towards others, does it not? We can be so hard on ourselves that all of a sudden we don't see the positive in anything. We don't see the worth in giving any life to anything we say. And sometimes we'll just go back to this. Our kids and our families will take the brunt of that not giving yourself life, right? Right? Like sometimes we gotta talk good to ourselves, don't we? We gotta be good. We gotta give ourselves grace, don't we? My first point that I want to make today, something that you probably heard growing up, and I just want to say your mom was right. If you can't say something helpful, go ahead and finish it. Don't say it at all. Come on. Do you wish it was acceptable as full-grown adults to just look at another full-grown adult and go, if you can't say anything helpful, just don't say anything at all? Do you all feel like that would be, like, do you wish that was acceptable to just do that? Yeah. Hamish, your dad's in the room. Just calm down, right? And I think it's one of those things where, like, we got to get to a place where we understand. We've got to tell ourselves, like, if this isn't helpful to someone, I should just right? Anybody? Instead of just spewing it out of my mouth, I'm just going to keep it in and check it with the Lord, right? Ephesians 4:29 says this, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. I don't know about you, but that brought me conviction. That messed me up this week as I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, because the problem with it is it doesn't matter. You could think it's okay to say it because I'm not saying it to them. But there is a thing called a word curse that you are speaking in that moment. You are taking your words and you are putting them on deposit with the enemy towards that person, whether they're in the room or not. Because we convince ourselves, well, I can say this about them, they're not around. Or before we say it, we're like, okay, I can tell you, right? No. If it's not going to build someone up according to their needs, shut your mouth. I feel like in this moment, the New King James Version, or the King James Version, because that's the these and the thous, it probably says, shut thy mouth. I don't know, because I didn't check it, but I feel like that's what it should say. right? Like if it's unwholesome talk coming out of your mouth, it's not helpful for, just shut thy mouth, right? Be a good hashtag for today. Hashtag shut thy mouth, right? Go ahead. When somebody says something on the way home today, go ahead and use that. Just go hashtag shut thy mouth. Just shut it, right? On Mother's Day, don't say it to a mom. They can say whatever they want to say today. As long as it's wholesome and building someone up according to their needs, they can say whatever they want to say today. The problem is today, if we would just apply that one verse, if we would just apply Ephesians 4:29 to our lives, our homes would be different, our friendships would be different, our jobs would be different, our day-to-days would be, everything would change if we just sat here on Ephesians 4:29 today and we said, no unwholesome talk is going to come out of my mouth unless it's to build someone up, right? If it's not building somebody up according to their needs, those words will not come out of my mouth. I will bind that thought up, I'll throw it at the feet of Jesus, and I will move on and only say what they need to hear to build them up, right? But too many times we get to this place. I love people like this, not really, where they want to tear you down, and they have this philosophy of, I'm going to give you a negative and tear you down, but then I'm going to build you up afterwards. Anybody ever experienced? I worked for someone like that. He'd cut me at my knees, and then he'd say one positive, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this doesn't make me feel good. Like, what are you, like, I get it. I need constructive criticism, but what you did was you just cut me at my knees, and then you just want me to have this token, hey, man, you're doing a good job. Like, what? No. Right? Number 2. If you think something good, you should say it. I have this habit, and it's my kids, so I can say this. But I have this habit where I watch Nikolai perform out on the right now we're in baseball. That's our life right now. It's baseball and Jesus. That's all we're doing. And I watch him play baseball, and there are moments where I watch him, and I'm just like, wow, that kid's good. Like, I didn't teach him that. Like, whoa. I watched him just the other night. He's playing catcher, which honestly, he's doing really good at it, and I'm really proud of him. And he's playing catcher, and we tend to not let the boys just throw the ball to try to throw someone out, because what happens is, if you don't know, they miss it, then it rolls out into the outfield, and then 3 runs score. Okay? So we're like, just if you just hold the ball. Like, that's what we preach to them. And this kid was stealing third base, and Nikolai caught it, and he just, without even thinking, and as the coach is yelling, no, 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 it leaves his hand, and I'm like, oh, no. My kid's about to ruin this game for us. And the third baseman caught it and was just a second late on the tag. And I sat there, and I was like, that was pretty good. And the coach leaned over, and she was like, that was pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to say I taught him that, but I did not. And I tell Lindsay, like, because she's not always at the games, and I'll text her, and I'll be like, hey, man, Nikolai did so good. And this is her response. It's one thing if you tell me that, but did you tell him that? Did you say those praises to him? Did you say the positive moment for him? Did you lift him up about what he does? And then I look at him like, dang it. So the other night, him and I were in the kitchen, and I was making dinner, and he's sitting at the kitchen table, and he's drawing, and we start to talk, and I was like, hey, buddy, I want you to know something. And I'm sure he's probably thinking, here we go, I'm in trouble for something. And I go, hey, I want you to know that I love watching you play baseball. And he just put his pencil down. He was like, what? And I said, dude, I think you're really good at baseball. I said, there are a few things that I think you could change to get better. I said, but right now, I love where you're at. I love watching you play. I said, and when I watch you play, I think I get a glimpse of what my mom and dad used to watch when I played baseball. And I said, that brings me so much joy, buddy. I'm so glad you love this. And he's like, thanks, Dad. I think it just goes back to drawing because, sentimental, not happening. But the thing is, though, if I just left that in my thoughts and never spoke it out loud to him, he'd constantly probably in his mind be walking around going, does my dad even like watching me play baseball? Does my dad even think I'm good at this? Does my dad is one of our coaches, but he never says anything good to me. Right? And so we've got to get to this place where if you think it, you've got to say it. If it's a good thought that's going to lift someone up and push someone forward, speak it out of your mouth. Stop leaving it in the trap of your mind. If you don't speak a thought, you're never going to speak life to someone. Come on. You've got to be able to speak things. Proverbs 16:24 says this, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. If we don't say thoughts, we rob someone of a possible blessing that they're going to receive. Ron, you had no idea what I was preaching about today, right? Okay, shaking his head up and down. Right before, I know now you're worried about what I'm about to say. I'm not going to say anything about your birthday. But right before I walked away from him, he goes, hey, I was talking to my dad this week. And he said, Ron, every time your pastor sees me, he goes out of my way to make sure he comes and says hi to me. And Ron said something to me. I just want you, it made me feel good this morning. He said, Nick, he's like, man, your social skills are great. People see them. That made me feel good, right? Like I was like, cool. Because sometimes I do things and I'm like, do people even notice this though? Do people know? And it's just one of those things. If you have the thought and you know it's something good, say it to the person. Like just say it to them. I think about that song. There's a few songs that come out, but there is a psalmist, right? His name is, I want to make sure I get his name, Psalmist John Mayer. Anybody? Yeah, it's just called Say. It says, say what you need to say. But I'm going to pause that because it's really say what you need to see, right? Say the things that you want to see. Don't say what you want to say, because sometimes when we say what we want to say, it's not good, right? You ever had that moment like, if I get a moment to say what I want to say, boy, I'm going to let them have it. Anybody, come on, you've been there, right? And you sit there in the conversation, you're like, just give me a reason. Just give me a reason. I want to say what I want to say. Give me a reason. But really what we got to do, we got to get to the place where we say what we want to see. If I want to see my kid grow in Jesus, then I need to say things that are going to make him go the direction of Jesus. And not the naggy are you going to wear that to church? Come on, anybody ever said that to your kid? Jacob. He shook his head yes. You don't have to point. He came upstairs today, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, Dad, what do you think? And I was like, honest or nice? And he was like, honest. And I was like, it's Mother's Day, and you have athletic pants on. And he looks at me, and he goes, but my shirt's tucked in. And I go, no. That does not make the athletic pants go away. And I said, and just so you know, a T-shirt tucked into athletic pants looks ridiculous. So to untuck it. And he's like, okay, can I wear it though? And I was like, fine. He's like, yes. Right? But the thing is though, it's like we got to say the things that we want to see, don't we? We got to start speaking in ways that lifts people up in faith. Come on. It's seeing a glimpse of something good in all the bad, and wanting to see more of that good and starting to speak to that small good thing. And I'm not just talking about kids, I'm talking about each other today. I'm talking about going to work tomorrow and finding that one small good sliver in the person you can't stand. Come on, Chris. Find it and then speak speak to it and go, I want to see more of that. And you don't even got to speak it to them, but start speaking it out loud when you get frustrated with them. Come on. Come on. I've hated people I worked with in churches and secular places. Come on. I've gotten to places where I'm just like, oh my gosh. If I have to go up on the roof one more time, I might slip. We have to start to speak what we want to see. If you want your marriage to not end in divorce, start speaking what you want to see. Stop speaking, well, I don't know why I married you anyways. Stop speaking, well, I guess we're just going to get a divorce. There was a time in our life, happy Mother's Day, there was a time in our life. We're in the middle of ministry. We would come home and we would say everything possible to each other that just tore each other down. All the way to the point where one of the last conversations we had was, well, I guess we'll get a divorce. I looked at Lindsay and I said, well, if we get a divorce, I said, I can't be a pastor anymore. They'll take my credentials, but I'll go find another job. That's okay if that's what we need to do. And then we came to the realization it was because of the words that we continually spoke about each other. It was the words that we started just throwing at each other in the middle of an argument. It was this never wanting to be the one that didn't get to say the last thing. Anybody been there? I just got to get the last word in. I got to get my last dig in. I got because it makes me feel better. And in reality, all you're doing is you're just taking those life-taking words and you're sucking all the life out of this marriage that was put together by the Lord. You want to see something different in your kids? Start saying, well, this is just how they are. Stop saying, well, they're just like their dad. That wasn't aimed at you. I just happened to be looking in that direction. Sorry, Lindsay. Stop saying, well, he's yours and she is mine. Don't do that stuff. Because all you're doing is you're just sitting there and you're just going, well, there's no hope for them. They're just like this. They're this. Like, why don't you start speaking things of like, hey, you're going to be a leader. Hey, you're going to be a life changer. Hey, you're going to do such good things in this world. Hey, dude, start changing the way we speak. Chris, I loved our conversation this morning. It's cool how the Lord does this. Because there's moments where we can't help but say things, and it just plants the seed that becomes our truth. And we just hold on to it. We'll listen to doctors say things and go, yep, that's my truth. We'll just leave the doctor's office and go, yep, the Lord's not even in this one. It's just, this is my new truth now. This is how I live my life. No. Start speaking words that you want to see. No, my body is not broken. I am whole because it's what I want to see in faith. No, my kids don't have this, and this that's all designated with letters because I have faith that my kid is made by the Lord and is made for a purpose, and that's not my truth. Right? No, I believe in faith that we will be debt-free because being broke is not my truth. Right? Too many times we say things and we just begin to partner with the words that we speak for ourselves. Too many times we get into hard spots and we go, well, I'm never going to be the same again. Did you check with God on that? I remember at 16 years old, my buddy was in a car accident and he was killed. I'd seen him at church the morning of. I said goodbye to him after church, and by the time church started that evening, he was gone. 16, he just got his license. I was getting ready to get mine. Soon as that happened, I looked at my mom and dad and I said, I don't want to finish getting my driver's license. I want to drive. I want to do that. And for a hot second, I was really scared. Because I thought to myself, that's the one kid nobody thought ever. He was a great kid. He's friends with everybody. Loved big. Nobody had anything bad to say about him. The passenger that was in the car with him sat there still alive and thought to himself, my life is so much worse than his. Why did I not get taken? But I began to let that become my truth. Words that we speak. David. You can start playing because it's just going to help me. Okay, cool. It's just going to help me. David, even in a moment, had to encourage himself with some words. He had just led the men on an attack, and when they came back to the camp, all their wives and children and all their stuff had been taken. His army turned on him and was like, we don't like you right now. We lost everything because of you. And he even had to get to a place where he was like, man, these people want to stone me right now. And he could have sat there and got down on his knees and went, you're right, guys, I deserve this. But instead he was like, no, I'm going to start encouraging them, and I'm going to start encouraging myself, and I'm going to move from here, and we're going to go find the things that were taken from us. Ezekiel said this. He said, prophesy to the dry bones. He didn't say, talk about the dry bones. I think too many times we see dry areas in our lives, and instead of speaking to it, we just talk about it. Instead of speaking to our problem, we just talk about the problem, and we just go, well, you know, it's here now. And I wasn't really there for that, but it's here now. So we're just going to deal with it now. The day that they told me that I had, cancer, that was a day where I looked at them and I was like, no, I don't. And for a day, I struggled. For a day, I sat in my words and in my thoughts and just partnered with it. And I thought, you know, this is the last Christmas I'm going to be with my kids. This is the last time I get to do this. Lord, you promised me some things, but I haven't seen them yet. So I guess maybe I heard you wrong. And this is it. This is my new norm. And I have to go through treatments here, and I'm going to have to lose my beautiful hair, and I'm going to have to do all these things. And Lord, I'm probably not going to make it. I went through all the things. Until I had a prayer team that was praying for me and people around me who cared for me, praying for me. And then I realized in that moment, like, man, I don't have to partner with this. I don't have to partner with a word when I have a Lord that could do whatever he wants to do. I don't have to take a word and that become my truth and sit there and go, yep, that's what I am now. I'm a cancer patient. No. I sat there and I thought to myself, well, you know, Nick, you can either be kicked while you're down and stay there, or you can just reach up and grab a hold of God, and he's going to take you wherever he wants to take you. I think too many times we let our thoughts and our words dictate our faith. Just give up. just partner with it. And I think a lot of us sit here and go, man, I want a difference in how I live. And can I just tell you, it could start by just changing the way you speak. You want a breakthrough? Change your speech. You want a blessing? Change your speech. You want to watch your ministry blow up? Change your speech. Change the things that come out of your mouth and start to change your heart with what you're speaking. I think too many times we sit and we speak words that just makes our heart dark, makes our thoughts just jacked up. We've got to be willing to check ourselves and go, man, Nick, you just said some things that are not of God. That did not help you or anybody else around you. Apologize. Man, that's a swear word, isn't it? Apologize. I don't have anything to apologize for. No, you apologize. Ask for forgiveness. Well, they should ask me for forgiveness. No, ask for forgiveness first for you. We've got to check our words. Start saying what we want to see. We can give life to everyone around us if we just change our speech, changed our words, changed our thoughts. And we think to ourselves, that's such a small word. Yeah, but it makes such a big difference. Sometimes just saying, have a great day, and locking eyes with someone might actually change their day. Even if you don't feel it. Change someone's day by just locking eyes with them and saying something good. Because words have the power of life today, and they have the power of death today. And it's the little things that no one sees. It's the little things that no one pays attention to that makes the big difference. It makes the difference that everybody wants. But you got to be willing to do the small stuff. Lord, I thank you for today. God, I thank you for at least, if anybody, challenging me on my words today. Both the words I speak to people's face and the words that, God, I speak to myself sometimes. God, I pray today that this week we are just challenged to watch our words, to watch our speech, to watch the negative things that we talk about or the negative things that we speak, and start checking those before they even exit our mouths with your word in Ephesians. That if it's not helpful to their needs or their cause, that God, we will just shut our mouths. That God, this would be the week that people would start seeing a difference in us, not by the way we dress, not by the way we look, not by the way we acted, but God, through our words, they would see something and hear something different. That God, our faith would be heard throughout every word we speak. That God, we would begin to speak life into people. That God, we would begin to speak life into hard situations. That we would begin to speak life into difficult relationships. That we would begin to speak life into our marriages and into our homes and into our children. That we would begin to speak life at work, God. That God, we would do our part by checking our words. And through faith, we would rely on you to do your part, Father. God, let us take on that thing that we grew up hearing, that if we can't say anything helpful, then just we're not going to say anything at all. Let that be a true motto for us this week. And God, the thoughts that we have about people that are good and that are uplifting, God, that we would begin to take them out of our thoughts and put them into words and speak them into the lives of people around us. God, show us the glimpses of the good things that we in faith want to see more of in people, and let us speak to those things. Let us use our tongues as the rudder that pushes our ship closer towards you as our destination. God, I pray that we are convicted this week, that when we say something that doesn't reflect you well, that God, our spirits put us in check. God, I pray today as we celebrate Mother's Day, that God, if we have the opportunity to still speak to our moms, that we would speak words that reflect you today to them. That God, we would find the little moments, even if it's a difficult relationship, that we would find that sliver of something good to speak to our mothers. The love that we have for them deep down. And God, let that just challenge us the rest of the week to check those words, God. Lord, I love you and I thank you for your word that is so real and so alive. And it challenges us, God. Thank you. Amen.